Hello and welcome to EduAdvisor's webinar series where we speak to industry experts, professionals and academicians of various backgrounds to give you key insights about their professions. Hi, I'm Nina and I'll be your host for this session about law. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Mr. EduAdvisor who is here to share with us on the topic of uncovering the myths behind studying law. Before we begin, here's a little background about our esteemed speaker today. Mr. EduAdvisor has been in legal education in a variety of capacities since 2003. After a stint as an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya, he turned to education full-time. Mr. Advisor has taught in a variety of institutions, including regular sport at the Hong Kong Polytechnics, University Speed, Singapore's ITC School of Law, and is now the academic director of ATC. While his primary function is education management, he still finds time to teach as it is his primary passion. So before we continue, if you have questions for Mr. Daniel, do leave a message at the comment section at the end of the session. So let's dive in.
Sure.
Can you tell our audience if you've always wanted to be a lawyer and why did you pursue a career in law?
Okay, no, I did not grow up thinking I was going to be a lawyer. I think I, like a lot of young people today, finished their school not really knowing what to do after that. I actually ventured into another area of study and I decided I didn't like it, and then I chose law, and then I decided that it was a perfect fit for me. I enjoyed it. It came relatively easy to me. It was something that I was passionate about, and I never looked back ever since. So I consider myself lucky, but if you're asking me, did I grow up when I was 7 years old knowing I wanted to be a lawyer? No. It was something that I stumbled upon, but it was a happy stumble.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's really good to hear. Was your journey to becoming a lawyer tough, and what were some things that surprised you as you studied to become a lawyer?
Well, I suppose my journey to become a lawyer was as tough as any other course would be. Again, I don't presume that the study of law is tougher or better than any other area of study, but yeah, I mean, there are difficulties. The vast amount of reading that needs to be done, understanding, so it was tough. But because I enjoyed it, I think it was a little bit easier for me, and that's something I think that's important. You need to truly enjoy what you're doing, and when you do that, it becomes easier somehow, right? And what surprised me, you asked, what surprised me is how much or how relevant a degree in law is in literally whatever you do, right? So yeah, I mean, obviously if you want to become a lawyer, you need a degree in law, but the knowledge of law, the knowledge of our rights, the knowledge of our constitution, you'd be surprised that every person living in Malaysia, or any other country for that matter, should know the law. They should understand the law. They should appreciate how it works, what can be done, what cannot be done. So you don't need to be a lawyer to study for a law degree. It's just something that's necessary, I think, something that's important for everyone.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about some of the top myths in law profession.
Okay.
Straight to the topic. You have to be a good public speaker or debater to excel in law. True or false?
I'm going to say false. But with a caveat. Well, speaking well and being a good debater helps. I'm not going to lie. Speaking well, being a good debater helps. Language is the tool in trade for a lawyer, right? You need especially if you are a lawyer that is a litigator, you need to be able to convince or persuade a judge. In some other countries, persuade a jury on points of law, but also on points of fact. So you need to be clear, you need to be precise, you need to be someone that can engage, can command the attention of someone else, right? However, that's not the be-all and end-all of legal practice. There are many areas of legal practice where you don't have to go to court. You don't face a judge, right? So for example, let's say if you are interested in being a conveyancing lawyer, these are lawyers that handle sale and purchase agreements for property and so on. Or you can be a corporate commercial lawyer. where you handle mergers and acquisitions, you handle IPOs, you handle due diligence on other companies when they want to buy, and opinions about whether shareholders can do this or that. So those areas of the law require a deep understanding of the law as well. But you don't necessarily have to be a top debater or an awesome speaker or anything. And even with litigation, the way in which the courts have done things today in order to speed things up, there's not so much standing and speaking in court. A lot of it is documentation, because this is more efficient. And so if someone is sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not the best speaker in class, I'm not the person that can stand up and speak at a moment's notice, I can't be a lawyer. That's not true. That's not true at all.
Okay, that's really good to hear. So those of you who are introverts, you are safe. Another myth associated with the study of law is that you need to have a good memory, given you're required to memorize the entire penal code. What are your thoughts about this?
Okay, I think having a good memory is useful. You forget your wife's birthday, you're in trouble, right? So either way, in any field that you are going to be in, a good memory is extremely useful. But I understand why there's a myth about especially having a good memory in the study of law, because you see these reams and reams and books of laws, right? But you'd be surprised that for most of the law exams, you get to bring in those laws.
Oh.
Yeah. So you see, just blind memory work is not useful. Nobody expects you to memorize the law. Nobody expects you to memorize the entire penal code or the Companies Act, which is thousands of sections, right? Why? Because in real life, it's just there. You just go to the bookshelf, pick it up, and you read the law, right? So the degree or the study of law actually is about you being able to understand the law and use the law in an everyday scenario.
Right.
So that is more important. So the reality is, although memory is important, you still have to memorize cases, you still have to memorize pretty much how the law works or things like that, right? So there is memory work. I'm not going to deny that, but is memory work the only thing that is important for a law degree? No. What is more important is understanding the law, the ability to apply the law. And like I said, a lot of the times you can bring in the laws into your exams, right? And these are not considered open book exams. These are still closed book, but you still can just bring the statute in, right? Just the variety of laws pertaining to that area. So to quickly answer your question, is memory important area of study? The debates, perhaps maybe we have an image of debates going on in class and a moot competitions and things like that. But these are all done in the spirit of friendship and the quest to learn more, right? So yeah, I would shoot that down as a myth. People at law school are very friendly. Come join us.
Okay. Is it true that all law graduates end up becoming lawyers? And we like to explore other alternative career paths, and if law graduates are sort of becoming a lawyer.
Yeah, so no. Very quick answer, very definite answer, no. Not all law graduates become lawyers. Even law graduates that do become lawyers don't necessarily stay on in the profession till they retire, right? Let me explain. I suppose everyone starts off with the image of being a lawyer, right? But for a variety of reasons, sometimes a person can choose to do so many other things, right? For example, you can teach. This is what I do, right? For that, you'll need some kind of further academic qualifications. Right. But then, yeah, you can teach law. Human resources is another area that I think a law degree would become useful, because it's usually the human resources department that does the hiring, the firing. They deal with contracts. They deal with disciplinary actions, right? And then, of course, a lot of law graduates go on to become what is known as in-house counsel. In-house counsel is where you're technically not a lawyer in the sense that you can't go to court, but you are the legal advisor for a particular company that you work for. So let's say, for example, you work for a big bank or a big oil and gas company, right? So they usually will have their own legal department and you are in that. So you will vet all the contracts that come through, or you will advise your own company as to what are the legal pitfalls, what are the problems with doing certain things, right? Apart from that, I think because of the skills that you developed whilst you were studying for a law degree, the analytical thinking, the logic, lots of our law graduates go on to do a variety of other things as well, right? Totally not law related, just management, general management in the corporate world. And I think employers, when they see that someone has a law degree, it holds them in better stead than perhaps some other general degrees, because they know the skills involved in obtaining a law degree, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, quick answer, do they all become lawyers? No, right? I think you should try being a lawyer for a while.
Yeah.
Those are skills that you will get, and those are chips you will have in your corner when you move on to do other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really
Sure.
like a lot of options for you to choose from by taking a law degree. So as a lawyer, you will sometimes need to defend criminals. True or false? If true, how does one get over his or her conscience?
Look, you are a criminal when you have been convicted by a court of law, right? Until then, if you call someone a criminal, that's not right, because everyone deserves a fair trial. So just because someone looks like a criminal or someone happens to be in a particular area where that crime occurred, it doesn't mean that they are a criminal, right? The only time that you are a criminal is when you've been convicted by a court of law. And that's why the legal process is so robust, in the sense that it really makes sure, right, that only the actual people who have done the crime get convicted. Now, is it perfect system? No. Are there people who are innocent who have been convicted?
Yeah.
Yes. Are there people who are guilty who have not been convicted? For sure. But the system itself is a good system, and such, we have to trust the system. That's the only system we have. So the role of a lawyer here, he's not defending a criminal in that sense, in inverted commas, right? He is giving this person, the accused person, a chance for a defense. And that is a constitutionally guaranteed right. Everyone needs to have a defense, right? So if nobody were to provide a particular person accused of a crime a defense, then that will be a terrible injustice.
Yeah, it's like you're taking their right.
Correct. That will be a terrible injustice, because there are many people who don't understand how the legal system works. It's very confusing. It's very technical. The evidentiary rules are sometimes very stressful to remember or even understand, right? So everyone deserves a defense. And this is something that I believe very truly. There are so many people who, sometimes there are lots of people online who have nothing better to do, who comment, oh, how can you defend this person, or how can you defend that person? He raped this person, or he stole this money, or whatever. That's not true. The lawyers who step up are doing their job in the sense that they are providing this accused person a defense, right? If there is enough evidence by the prosecution that this person has done the crime, he will go to jail. Again, there's all this myth of people, or the lawyer can just worm his way around the law and get him out. Not true. If there's clear evidence, you will be convicted. But if there is no evidence, or there's not enough evidence, then yes, the person will not go to jail. And that's a good thing. There is a saying that it's better to have 10 guilty person free than 1 innocent person in jail. So the system is designed that way. And the lawyer is just facilitating that, right? Yeah.
Okay. So often we see men holding respected titles in law firms. Is it true that law is a male-dominated profession? Does gender discrimination exist in the law profession, and what are some advices to students who might be worried about this?
Yeah, the legal profession, I suppose, is a very old, very traditional profession. And like many other older traditional professions, it is very male dominated, it's true. And I see this, and this is something that affects me personally as well. My wife is still a lawyer, and sometimes when I'm with her and we go and talk to other lawyers, the other lawyers talk to me, assuming that I am also the lawyer, and while she's the one that's actually the lawyer, I just drove her there, right? So there is a perception problem, but I don't think it's any worse than in any other profession. I'm not trying to downplay it. It's a problem, but it's a problem across the board, right? It is a real problem. I truly believe that women need to be better respected. Women need to be allowed into more decision-making roles, right? And see, the good thing about the legal profession is that women can actually take charge. So let's say, for example, a lady who, let's say, for example, feels that she's in a firm where it's male-dominated, all the other partners are not allowing her to handle the big juicy cases, and she feels she's ready, she can leave. She can start her own firm, right? And clients who have already known her and trusted her for her skills will go with her, right? So it is a profession that's democratic, if you like, right? But if the underlying question is, if you're asking me, is there a problem? Yeah, I regrettably would say yes, there is a problem. But I think that the women in the profession have made great strides, and they are changing this.
So what advice do you give to students who might be worried about this? Especially to the girls out there who would like to pursue law.
Study hard, be strong, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let men who assume that you are less than what you are, don't let them get away with it. I think sometimes women, maybe because of their nature as well, they don't call other men out. So if you are in a meeting and you are the lawyer and the other lawyer comes and shakes hands with the person who drove you there, let's say, for example, or tends to make eye contact with that person alone, I think it's important that you assert yourself, right? And asserting yourself doesn't mean you have to be a difficult person. Asserting yourself doesn't mean you have to be rude. It just means that making the other person realize that, look, I'm here, I mean business, and deal with me, right? And that's something I think women can do, and they do it so well. Just more women need to learn that they can do it.
You hear it here first, girls. You can do it, and you can pave the way in the law legal firm. So there's another myth here. Lawyers typically cannot do maths. How true is this?
True. Full stop. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. Well, yeah. I suppose if you have read a little bit into things like this, you've got people who are more left-brained and right-brained and things. I haven't read enough to properly be able to talk on this matter, but generally, I think people who study for a law degree are more comfortable with words than numbers. Now, this is a generalization. It's not necessarily true. But again, generally, like I said, a generalization, they're more comfortable with words, wordplay than numbers and things like that. And I don't think that's a bad thing, right? I don't think that's a bad thing. There are people who are more comfortable with numbers, who hate words, right? Who speak in one-word sentences, but they can do calculations brilliantly. So there's a place for everyone in society. And together we will build the society. So short answer, if you put a gun to my head, yes, lawyers are no good with numbers. That's the truth.
Okay, so that's your answer. How much money do lawyers make, and is the legal profession generally a well-paid profession?
Oh, this is a tough question. Is it a well-paid profession? Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. But you're not immediately well-paid. Let's put it that way. You don't. The moment you graduate, when you start, you have to do what is known as pupillage first, right?
Yeah.
So that's 9 months of pupillage, or a lot of times in Malaysia it's called chambering, but it's properly known as pupillage, right? So you work for another lawyer. So here you probably only get an allowance, and I guess the average. I hate to say a number because it's so wide, the range, right? But yeah, you're looking at maybe 1,000 plus 2,000 ringgit. Well, this is just an allowance, right? Now, there are some people who will get 900 ringgit as well, right? It all depends on the firm that wants to take you in. Because at pupillage level, you need it more than the employer needs you. Well, once you start practice, there are many factors that go into what salary you start. Where you are. So obviously, if you're a lawyer in KL, you probably earn a little bit more than, say, Kota Baru or something like that, right? So the location factor is important. The firm that you're in is also important, and it's not necessarily that the bigger firms will pay you more. The bigger firms usually do pay slightly more, but there are plenty of smaller firms that pay top dollar, right? Is it a well-paying profession? Yes, you will be comfortable. You will be more than comfortable, in fact, if you stay on in the profession, and then eventually you become partner or you start your own firm, right? So those are situations where you start to make a good amount of money.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's take a moment to answer some questions from our audience. So, someone asked, after I complete my degree in law, do I need to complete my CLP papers within a few years I graduate? Is there any time frame for this? Okay,
good question. So this is obviously someone that already knows the entire system. Okay, after you graduate with a law degree, and if you have not registered for the CLP, then there's no time limit. So what I mean is, if let's say you graduated from your degree 10 years ago, and you want to do your CLP today, you can. 20 years later, you can, right? But if you have already registered for the CLP, and you took your exams the first time, then you have a maximum of 4 years or 4 attempts only. Meaning if you fail your CLP 4 times, or in 4 years you haven't cleared the papers, you cannot do your CLP ever again. So it is a interesting exam, this CLP. I say interesting because I didn't want to say difficult. No, but I mean, just like any other professional exam, right? In any other field as well, right? It's an exam that allows you access into a profession that is very important, in my opinion. So answer to the question. After you finish your degree, there is no time frame, so you can go do something else first, and then when you feel you're ready, you come back and do your CLP, no problems at all.
Alright, okay, it's good to know. So to wrap things up, Mr. Daniel, what advice would you give to aspiring lawyers out there?
Okay, if you're an aspiring lawyer, if you want to be a lawyer, I think what's important is pick the right place for you to do your law degree. Pick a place where the teachers are good, it's conducive, and the teachers are there for you, right? And you're not drowning in a huge classroom, things like that. I think factors like that are important. Secondly, you need to, whether you like it or not, you need to start reading a lot of general knowledge, because law is about what we do every day, right? There are subjects that we study about things that happen on a daily basis, right? So you need to be a little bit more well-versed with general knowledge, so that the law that you study, you can put it in context. And that's how you understand the law better, not just something you memorize from a textbook, right? So reading is better, and inculcate a habit of asking questions, because the law, unlike science or maths, there's no one answer. So that ability to think about things different ways is not something that is natural to a lot of people, right? So you need to develop it, right? So the answer can be ABC, But that's not the only answer. You look at it from a different perspective, it could be XYZ. So both ABC and XYZ is the correct answer for the same question, depending on context, depending on the person who is asking.
Right.
So sometimes that is a concept that's difficult to grasp by some students. So develop that as well. And when you sort things like this out, the study of law will hopefully be a pleasant experience.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
All right, okay, so there you have it. Thank you for joining our conversation with Mr. Daniel Abhishekam about uncovering myths behind studying law. We hope you have gained a lot on what you should do next when you're planning for your studies. So do come back for more webinars and have a good day ahead. Thank you.